Well, hello again, everybody. Welcome. Happy Tuesday. This is the weekly Tuesday Limitless Lifestyle Quest group call for all of our elite clients. So welcome. We have Olga with us live today. Looks like everybody else is going to be listening to the recording. So welcome to those of you who are listening to the recording as well. And thanks for your flexibility, guys. As you can see, I am in airplane mode right now because I will be flying to heading off to Chicago and then spending the night in Las Vegas today. So thanks for your flexibility in bearing with me while I had to change the time of our call today. But I wanted to make sure that I brought you some value this week in spite of the change in schedule. All right, so I'm really excited about what we're going to talk about today as we continue with our back to basics focus here that we've been doing for the last several weeks. Today's subject is the subject of attitude. And attitude can be a trigger word for a lot of us. You'll hear, she has a good attitude. He has a bad attitude. Don't you give me any attitude. But what is attitude really? And how can we actually cultivate attitude in a way that it's going to support us in creating what we want in our lives, personally, professionally, physically, in terms of our health, and in terms of relationships as well, the four big areas that make up a balanced life. So we are going to delve into that. We're going to answer those questions today. All right, so without further ado, guys, I am going to share my screen and we are going to dive right in. All right, bear with me one moment here. We are gonna, there we go. Hang on one second, guys. I am being a little technologically challenged today, so we're gonna do this one more time. There we go. All right, now we should be in business. There we go. That's what we're looking for. All right, so what we're going to do today is talk about the magic word. And of course, that magic word is attitude. It's, as I mentioned, a word that sometimes has a lot of meaning associated to it that's not always accurate. Sometimes it can be a trigger word for us, but we're going to clear all of that up by the time we get to today's call, the end of today's call. All right, so first question is, what is attitude? And I have Olga live here today, and I'm going to put Olga on the spot and just ask her, what is attitude? What would you say attitude is, just from your basic understanding, Olga?
I would say attitude is an inner way or decision of how you see something, but that inner assessment affects how you behave outwardly based on that inner perception.
Yeah, well done. That's a bell ringer. You know, when something's brilliant said, we ring the bell. Yeah, really, really good. That's a really good definition. I'm going to add that to a little bit to that. And actually, really what I'm going to do here is maybe put a couple of extra words in here. But Olga really hit the nail on the head with that. It's definitely inner. And it's definitely that inner being, that inner sense you have, that inner person that you are, that affects how you behave out in the world. Absolutely. So we
I
often,
think
yeah, go
I
ahead.
think I think most of us can relate to a time when our parents said to us, "I don't like your attitude, young
Mhm.
lady." They're basically saying, they're not saying they don't like you, but they're
Yeah,
telling you they don't like the way you're behaving based on what you're feeling inside.
exactly, Olga. And you're really really giving us a good segue here because it is how you're feeling inside that then translates into your behavior externally. And that's going to have an impact on the world around you, the people, the circumstances you attract. It's going to have an impact on all of that. So the question is, what do we do about that? How do we cultivate an attitude that's actually going to align with drawing to us the people, the circumstances, et cetera, that we need, that we want to create what we want in life? So Olga, you've already pretty much explained this, but yeah, people say those things all the time. What an attitude. Oh my gosh, I don't like his attitude. Or, wow, this person has a really good attitude, right? But we don't want attitude going forward as creative beings that we are now and doing this deliberately in this program. We don't want attitude to be a matter of chance. We don't want whatever circumstances are happening in our lives to be something that we react to in terms of the attitude that we embody, right? We already know now that we want to use our conscious minds to make a decision on attitude, and then we're going to go forward that way. Doesn't mean we're always going to be 100%, but at least we're going to know that we have control over our attitude. And if it's going in a direction that we know is not going to be conducive to us creating what we want in our lives, we know now that we can catch ourselves, we can stop it, and we can shift the attitude. And that's what we're going to talk about how to do now. Okay, so you hear this often. People will tell you, you might have heard it, as Olga said, from parents, from managers at work, from friends, if you just change your attitude, boy, your sales would go way up. Or if you just change your attitude, you can change your relationship. Or, if you just change your attitude, you can change those grades and get them up. I used to hear that one in school a lot. So again, we take this in various parts of our lives, but then nobody ever answers the question. So, well, what is attitude and how do I exactly change that attitude? And so now we're going to talk about the formula on how to do that. All right, before we do, we're going to define attitude. Before we define attitude, though, William James, who was an early pioneer in the field of personal development, William James said at the beginning of the 20th century, the early 1900s, he said, the greatest discovery of my generation is that human beings can, keywords here, alter their lives by altering their attitudes of mind. So now we're going to answer the questions, 2 questions now for the rest of our session today. Number 1, what is attitude? And then number 2, what's the formula for making the decision to change that attitude and then going about changing it? All right, so attitude, Olga, you said this really well. I'm going to refine just a little bit here. Attitude is a combination of 3 things. Attitude is our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions. It's a combination of all 3 of those things. And when our thoughts and our feelings and our actions are deliberately brought into harmony with what it is that we actually want to create, and we work this deliberately, we can then deliberately create an attitude that is going to really, it's quantum physics, is going to draw to us everything that we need to achieve that C-type goal, to achieve what we really want in life. So just remember, you might want to jot this down. Attitude is the combination of your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. Now, how do all of these things go together? Well, we're going to go back to our old friend here, the stick person, to answer that question. So all of you now are familiar with the stick person and how the stick person represents how we use our mind to really build habits, and how our body then takes actions based on those programmed habits, and we end up getting results that match the programmed habits. So we're going to build on this and talk about how to use this stick person concept to create an attitude that's going to bring to us everything that we want, that C-type goal. All right, so we know that we have the conscious mind. If you follow along with my cursor here on the left, we've got the conscious mind. The conscious mind can accept, reject, or originate ideas. It's what we call inductive. Okay, then we have deductive, the subconscious mind. That basically means that the subconscious mind is just going to take in, it doesn't really have a choice. It's going to take in whatever we continuously feed it from the conscious mind. Finally, we change our programming through that constant spaced repetition over time from the conscious mind to the subconscious mind. We program in paradigms or habits of thought. And all of the actions that we take are based on that programmed paradigm or those programmed habits of thought. We then take actions in our body that are dictated by that subconscious programming, that autopilot that's now programmed in through spaced repetition over time. And then we get results that match all of that. They essentially match what's programmed into the subconscious mind. Now, we know at this point in the program that we need to only put into our conscious minds ideas and thoughts that are going to align with who we want to be and what it is that we want to achieve, the C-type goal. And all of you are working on that daily with writing out your goal, reviewing your goal card, visualizing the movie happy ending that represents that future state, that C-type goal fulfilled. And as you're doing that, a lot of you are already telling me now you're starting to see changes in your habits, which are leading to changes in your action, which are leading to changes in your results, which is exactly how it's supposed to be. All right, that's an overview. Let's just go ahead and dig just a little bit deeper here. All right, so what does this have to do with attitude? And how do we use this stick person concept to create an attitude deliberately that aligns with everything that we want, our C-type goal? Well, no surprise to you at this point in the program, it starts with thought, right? And so what we want to do is to bring in only the thoughts as much as possible that are in harmony with the C-type goal, in harmony with what it is that we want. Now, some of you have said to me, oh yeah, Peter, positive thinking. And you're not wrong, but we want to go beyond just positive thinking. We want to go the next step and actually use our thoughts to project ourselves into that future state of what we want. Now, think about this. And in fact, I'm going to ask you to do it now. While you're listening to my voice, think about your C-type goal. And just take a few seconds now to project yourself into that. Literally, when you're doing this, guys, this is quantum physics. You are collapsing that space-time continuum. When you go into your mind and you imagine that C-type goal fulfilled, it's already fulfilled quantum physics in that quantum field that's out there beyond the third dimension. We live in a third dimensional world, so it often takes time for it to materialize, but it's real when you go in your imagination and imagine it now. So go there right now, just take a few seconds and imagine that C-type goal as if it's fulfilled. And Olga, I'm going to ask you now, when you're ready, tell us, what emotions are you feeling since you're live with us? What emotions are you feeling when your thoughts go to your C-type goal fulfilled?
Oh, happiness, accomplishment,
Okay.
fulfillment, satisfaction.
Okay, excellent. And how would you feel if that C-type goal were fulfilled right now? Are those I'll make it a leading question. Are those the feelings you would feel if that C-type goal were fulfilled now in the third dimension?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Perfect. So what Olga just demonstrated, everybody, is going that step beyond just general positive thinking and actually going to that happy ending, your C-type goal fulfilled. You're stepping into that quantum field where it's already real. And you're going to feel the emotions that you would feel as if it were real, right? This is using your conscious mind to deliberately create that future state. When you do that, as Olga just demonstrated for us, you immediately get a feeling or feelings, emotional feelings. And when you get those emotional feelings that are aligned with the C-type goal, those emotional feelings that you would be feeling if your C-type goal were fulfilled right now in the third dimension, not only now is your mind involved, but your heart is now involved also. And maybe while you all are doing this exercise, you might even actually feel some emotion or some feeling right here in the center of your torso where your heart is, because this is actually real. There is actually a physical and a non-physical sort of marriage that happens here. There's a correlation there. So think of it this way. The thoughts are actually where it starts, and the thoughts lead to feelings. Now, this is kind of a symbiotic relationship, because even though it starts with the thoughts give you the feelings, as Olga just demonstrated. When you're feeling those feelings, it actually brings up more thoughts that match the feelings. And then as you think more of those thoughts that match the feeling grows, etc., right? And so you create almost a circuit going on here, right? So think of it this way. The thoughts are electric energy, if you will. That's electric energy. Literally, thoughts can be measured, and there's an electric charge to the thoughts. Your feelings, when you feel the emotions, are magnetic energy. And so when you have the thoughts and the feelings working in this symbiotic relationship, you actually are generating an electromagnetic frequency. This is the science, the quantum physics behind this, guys, that then not only starts to reprogram you and change everything, it changes things in your body. It also changes your point of frequency. So you start attracting to yourself things that now match those positive emotions that you are feeling as a result of the C-type goal fulfilled thoughts that you were deliberately thinking. I'm going to pause here and check in with you, Olga. That was a lot of words. Did those words make any sense?
Yes, they do. I can tell when my thoughts are not
Mhm,
really in the positive energy space.
mhm.
It tends to breed more stress.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like a snowball. If when my thoughts go on the negative or the stressful or the worrisome images that go on my through my head, then my feelings become less positive,
yeah,
uh, more sense of desperation, more sense of defeat, more sense of worry. And then, but it does take going back to the origin of the thoughts
yeah,
to kind of rewire
yeah,
the energy around me and how I'm feeling. And things happen in your life. There are upsets, there are little blips that pop on through,
absolutely.
but
Yeah,
recognizing when I'm getting mired into that negative energy has been very valuable to me. I don't spend a lot of time there, and I
yeah.
try to turn it around as quickly as possible by changing my way of thinking about it, even if it's a situation I can't control.
Yeah, brilliant, 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 brilliant. Now I'm going to ask you a couple of questions here, Olga. So at that point, how does that impact what you do physically when you're in that state where the thoughts have maybe been more on the negative side? As a result, the feelings, the heart feelings are now more on the negative side. You now have an electromagnetic frequency that's more on the negative side. How does that impact what you do with your body and how you act in the world?
It is challenging because I would say the easy response is to go with the flow and ride the wave of negative energy.
Yeah,
But I, you know, results show that that does nothing but keep me in the miserable negative mode. Uh,
exactly. Yeah. And so
so,
what you just demonstrated here is attitude, right?
mhm,
So when your
mhm,
thoughts are negative, you mentioned the negative feelings happen as well,
yeah.
right? So you end up with, I'm trying to get to, I'm just going to go ahead and build all of this here. Here we go. This is what we want. Then you end up with a negative, chaotic,
Mhm.
molecular energy. Your
Oh, yeah.
electromagnetic energy becomes negative, as you can see here on the screen. Olga just brilliantly demonstrated this. Let's go through it. So up here, conscious mind, we have the negative thought. That's the electric energy of the thought. Then we have that leading to a negative vibration here in the subconscious. That's where the feeling is. That's where the heart is. We now have a negative chaotic impact here in the body. So we're in a negative electromagnetic state here in the body, electromagnetic frequency. So all the actions, if we stay there, all the actions that we take are going to be in that negative chaotic electromagnetic energy. And we're going to get results that match that negative chaotic electromagnetic energy. Now, if you look around the world, most people do this. People tend to sometimes stumble into the positive. But a lot of the time, if you look around, you'll see that people do this all the time on one subject or another. You all know too much now. And you know that all you have to do, as Olga just very brilliantly explained, catch yourself. You have the mental faculties to do that now and replace it with a positive thought. If you can't reach an actual positive thought from where you are, get to the highest positive thought you can think. If you can even get a little bit better than where you are, you're moving in the right direction. But you want to plant a positive thought in there. If you do that, spaced repetition over time, it does not take long. And as Olga demonstrated, she mentioned, and most of you have mentioned this to me at this point, you don't stay there very long anymore, right? Are you noticing that? What you'll do now is go, oh, I know where this is going to go. And as Olga just really brilliantly stated, I realize if I ride this out, I'm not going to like where that's going to go. So let me disrupt this and find the most positive thought that I can find right now. You do that, you'll instantly feel better. So now you've got, we're going to talk about this electromagnetic circuit now. You've now got a positive thought that now has a positive electric energy or electric charge. You do that in very little time, I'm talking minutes, you are going to get a more positive feeling in the heart, right? That's reprogramming your subconscious, and that's the heart-mind connection. What's going to happen there now is you've got a more positive now electromagnetic circuit, electromagnetic frequency going on here. Now your body is in a positive, orderly electromagnetic field and frequency. And the same principle applies. The actions you're going to take now are going to match that frequency, and you're now going to start getting results that are actually aligned with that new positive electromagnetic energy. So that electromagnetic energy that starts with the thought going into the feeling then resulting in the actions you take with your body that match the feeling. Guys, that's attitude. Attitude is that thought, that subsequent feeling that results, and then the impact in the body, whether it's going to be positive or negative, it's going to depend on the thought, but then the actions you take as a result. So therefore, again, we're going to recap here. Thought, feeling, and action is attitude, and attitude brings us results. Now, you know the formula now, so you never have to worry about staying in an attitude of thought, feeling, and action that's going to take you on a ride to some place you don't want to be. You now have the formula to actually take on the attitude deliberately that's going to match that C-type goal and what you really want to create, right? So with that now, guys, I'm going to turn it over to Bob. Before I do, it sounds like Olga had something to say. Olga, reaction to that?
Yeah, I find that one of my easiest approaches to pivoting against that negative energy, those negative thoughts, and that negative consciousness is to think of one point of gratitude. I just go back to that. Just let me pull one kernel of gratitude out. And I usually try to mirror the situation when I'm thinking about the gratitude side. It's almost like looking at the positive of the situation.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a trigger for me to pivot away from the negative. But it's the hardest part is recognizing that I'm in that negative mode, that I'm having those negative thoughts, that I'm on that down, what I call a downward slope.
Yeah.
And for me, that one kernel of gratitude, if I could just take 4 seconds to think of something positive about where I am, what I'm doing, and how I am feeling, then for me, that usually will be the turning point to bringing my thoughts back to the positive.
Brilliantly stated. There's another bell ringer there. You said something earlier, Olga, that it tends to snowball when you get into a negative thought, because that's the frequency you get in the electromagnetic frequency. It brings you another one, another, and it's like a snowball. The same thing happens with positive. So the question is, when it's snowballing in a negative way, what do you do to stop that snowball from avalanching, from rolling down that hill and getting too big and out of control? Brilliantly stated, you put the brakes on it with a positive thought. Best way, Olga, I love that you brought that up. The best way to shift to the positive is to find something to feel grateful for. And here's the magic behind it. Olga said she tries to find something positive or something to be grateful for in that situation that has a little bit of a negative vibe to it. Great if you can do that. Sometimes you can't reach a positive in that situation. So think of anything else you feel grateful for: your health, the home you live in, your family, your loved ones, etc. That's why, guys, I'm on you guys all the time to make sure you do your gratitude list every day after you do your morning meditation and review your goal card. I do it all the time. Roll right into your gratitude. And that will just, my goodness, just instantly start a snowball going in the opposite direction, down the positive side of the hill, so to speak. And the magic of it is you can shift the subject to something else completely if it brings you positive thoughts of gratitude. And one other thing, guys, and I have found this to be very, very powerful. I used to say, oh, I just do my gratitude list in my head. I don't have to write it down. And there's some benefit to that. It's so much more powerful if you're writing it down and you have that mind-body connection. So if you're not writing out your gratitude list every day, I highly recommend that you do that. And Olga, thank you for that. I'm going to turn it over to Bob now. Bob's going to talk to us for about 6 minutes and give us his take on attitude.
Hello there and welcome. I'm Bob Proctor, and I'm going to share an idea with you that could be worth its absolute weight in gold if you study it. Now, I've been studying for a long time. I learned it way back in 1961, and it has fascinated me ever since then. I want you to think of this for a moment. About 3% of the population are real big winners. 97% of the population are not. Do you know that people are struggling all their life? You see it with their income. They struggle with trying to earn enough money. They're fighting for better health all the time. They're trying to get a better job. They're trying to build their business. And what is the basic ingredient behind all success? It's attitude. Attitude. Now think about that for a moment. What is attitude? Do you know, attitude is not a subject that's taught in very many places. Now, I've been teaching it for a long time, and I'm working diligently at keeping my own attitude on the right track. If somebody asked you what it was, what would you say? I'm going to tell you, this is a powerful concept. And if you will take this video and watch it 1,000 times, burn the idea right into your mind, and then start paying attention to the people that you run into every day, and just ask yourself, what kind of an attitude have they got? Let me explain it this way. I'm going to share something with you that I've been using for a long, long time. I learned this many, many years ago from a very good friend, Dr. Harry Roeder, and his good associate, Leland Valvandeval. Both of these men were mentors of mine. And they pointed out that no one has ever seen the mind, but there was a doctor, Truman Fleet, in San Antonio, Texas, back in 1934. He said, you know, no one's ever seen the mind. Mind is movement. Mind's not a thing. A lot of people think of the brain as being the mind, but that's not true. He said, I'm going to draw a picture of the mind. And this is what he drew. He just drew a circle. And then he said, I want this to represent the body. Now, he said, we're going to divide the mind into two parts. We'll call this part the conscious mind and this part the subconscious mind. Now, he said, there's a great power flowing into our conscious mind. And this power is neither bad nor good. It's neither positive or negative. It just is. When that power flows in, it just is. We have the ability in our conscious mind to dictate how that power is going to flow. In other words, this is where we can think. And thinking is a function of the conscious mind. That's right. It's done with our reasoning factor, our inductive reasoning factor, if you want to get technical about it. We can think anything we want, and what we do is we build ideas here in our conscious mind. Now, these ideas can be negative ideas or positive ideas, but whatever we think, we send them right out into the universe. That's right. That's an energy that we send into the universe. You can pick up another person's thoughts. They're transferred all over the universe. Thought waves are cosmic waves that penetrate all time and space. Now, this is also what we call our emotional mind. And when you impress an idea upon this part of our mind, that idea is going to control the vibration of this thing we call our body. Now, let's suppose we take this idea and we impress it here, and it's a negative idea. We're going to move into a negative vibration. Let's suppose it's a positive idea. We're going to move into a positive vibration. Now, the vibration, the feelings, we send them out into the universe, and those feelings are expressed through the body, so it causes the body to act the way it acts. And it's our actions that produce our results. Now, attitude was best described by Earl Nightingale. He said it's our position or bearing as indicating thoughts, feelings, and actions. Thoughts, feelings, and actions. It's the composite of all three. Now, let's think of this for a moment. You can be thinking negative thoughts and send out positive feelings. You could consciously think of negative things, and yet you're not emotionally involved in them. And you could be emotionally involved with something very pleasant. So you could send out a negative thought, positive vibration. That would cause the body to act in a very positive way. But let's suppose you get emotionally involved in the negative idea. Then you're going to send out negative actions and negative vibrations. So you see, your attitude is your position or bearing is indicating thoughts, feelings, and actions. Now, you know, we have the ability to look for good in everything. The people that focus on the positive, they are going to win. The ones that are looking at what's wrong all the time, they are going to lose. People with a good attitude just naturally gravitate to the top. You know, it's not so much talent and ability as it is attitude. You can find absolutely brilliant people with a bad attitude, and you can find people that just aren't too bright with a great attitude. A good attitude is going to win every time for you. And what is it? It's our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions. Now, we're going to talk more about attitude in other videos that we're going to make, but this is very important you understand this. You have a mind, and you live in a body. You have a conscious mind, a subconscious, and a body. The conscious mind is a thinking mind. The subconscious is a part of feeling, and the body is the instrument of the mind. Keep your attitude right, and you're going to win every time. This is Bob Proctor. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this video. We put a lot of good information up.
All right, Bob, thank you very, very much. We are going to stop there. All right, Olga, any reaction to that video? Any takeaways for you? Oh, Olga, are you still there? Did we lose you? I think you're muted. Okay, it looks like we've lost Olga's audio, so I'll give you my takeaways there. You know, one interesting thing that Bob mentioned there is that it's the emotional involvement, right? You could be thinking something that is negative. You can have a negative thought, and as long as you don't get emotionally involved with the negative thought, you've more or less broken that, in my words, that electromagnetic circuit, and you don't end up in a negative electromagnetic frequency. Conversely, you could be thinking something that's positive, but on the heart level, the subconscious, you actually have a sense of negativity or a negative emotion, even with a positive thought. And then again, it's all based on whether you get emotionally involved with it. So the takeaway here is, regardless of what you're thinking, you only want to get emotionally involved with the thoughts that are actually going to give you a positive emotion and align with the C-type goal and what you really want to create. Olga, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I am sitting here listening to you and listening to the rain outside my window, and I'm trying to stay positive about the rain. There are a lot of things I would love to be doing today, but I'm thinking more about how much this rain is needed. It's a nice gentle rain, so it's what I call on the beneficial side. It's doing us some good. But boy, would I've loved to have done some sightseeing today, but that's just not going to happen. But I'm not going to harp on my change of plans for today, but I'm going to embrace the positive. And it's all in how I look at it. And I could go out in my rain boots with my umbrella today if I really wanted to.
So let me ask you, when you make that shift in your conscious mind, what's the emotion that you feel based on the shift that you just walked us through?
For me, it brings me back to a feeling of contentedness, you know, being okay with the way things are at times.
Is it a positive emotion or a negative emotion?
I think I would call it positive, you know, being able to change your attitude based on the circumstances around you. There's so many things in life that I really can't change directly, but I always have control of my attitude toward it.
Absolutely. And that's a good place for us to wrap up here, because when you look at it that way, you said you have no control over it. You have no control over it if you are using, I was listening to Dr. Joe Dispenza earlier today, and I like the way he put it. If you are trying to create matter from matter, then it feels like you don't have a lot of control over it. If you're creating matter, you know, meaning the result that you want to create, and you're doing it with this quantum approach by using your mind to plant the idea of what you want in that quantum field, you're in control of it. That's just how the principles work. You collapse space and time, and it's going to come to you more quickly. So the key is to create from placing the thought in the quantum field, to use Dr. Joe Dispenza's words, and let it come to you, as opposed to chasing it and trying to make it happen by creating matter from matter.
Right. That's a hard habit to break.
Yeah, it definitely takes some practice, but hats off to you. You've demonstrated and you've shown, even in the last 12 months, you, like a lot of my other clients, have really shown a remarkable shift in your ability to actually do that. All of us are still learning, but to do that better and better. You know, as you said earlier, catching yourself as soon as you feel that snowball rolling down that hill, going, I know what that is. And then using these skills you've developed to deliberately make that shift. And it's nice to see you doing it again today, even on a rainy day that could be disappointing to you or to a lot of other people. All right. Last thing that I'm going to do here is, again, we want accountability. We want people to get results. And Olga, since you're the one that's live here, I'm going to put you on the hook just a little bit. Report card wise, if you had to give yourself a letter grade, let's just go with the classic A, B, C, D, F. What grade would you give yourself on how consistently and effectively you're doing your daily work? You're imagining the C-type goal fulfilled, the happy ending, you're reviewing your goal card, writing out your goal, writing out your gratitude list.
I would say C+, room for improvement. Okay. There are distractions that I allow to take precedence during the first half of my day. I think I explained this earlier, that I pretty much have to do my work on this before noon because my work schedule takes over the remainder of the day. So I typically have to get it done early, or it's not getting done that day. So a day off like today is easy. Plenty of time, but for consistency during the week and into that, what I call that work demand time frame, I would have to say C.
I think we can all relate to that. Yeah. So doing it as early as possible in the day and building that habit where you're doing it as early as possible in the day helps. One thing, I know a lot of you don't want to hear this, but one thing you can do if you're working and have a busy schedule like most of us, get up 30 minutes earlier. You can wake up half an hour earlier, even 15 minutes earlier. That will allow you an extra 15 to 30 minutes to do the work. And once you do that, guys, just make it a habit to do that. Once you do that, less than a month, 20, 28 days or so, a month at the latest, that's just going to become a habit. You won't even think about it. Olga, what's one thing that you would commit to doing to be more effective, maybe raise that letter grade?
Well, I think I need to revise my C-type goal.
Okay.
Because I'm now focused in a different direction than I was 2 years ago.
Yeah, of course. You've accomplished.
Yeah, and I want to get something on paper that excites me again.
Yeah, and that's a key. Yeah. Because remember, you want something you can get emotionally involved with, right? That's our continuous growth. Remember, success is as Earl Nightingale taught us, the progressive realization of a worthy ideal, keyword being progressive, right?
Yeah. So it is now time for me to move to something more challenging.
All right, excellent. So we're going to hold you accountable. It's time to revise your C-type goal. That's going to give you something you can feel excited and in a positive way, emotionally involved with again. And then at that point now, you're off to the races. You'll have the energy, the inspiration to get up every morning and actually work the process. When are we going to have that C-type goal rewritten?
Today is a good day because it's a day off.
Okay. Do that today. Are you open to putting your C-type goal in the WhatsApp chat? Oh, yeah. Okay, put it in we're going to look for that by the end of today. We'll give you till midnight. Okay. You're in Albuquerque. We'll give you till midnight Albuquerque time.
All right, mountain time.
Yes, put it in there. Accountability. That'll inspire the rest of us in the group as well. All right. Olga, I thank you. All of you who are listening on the recording, I thank you. I am off to go fly, and already looking forward to a wonderful trip, wonderful crew, wonderful people, and a great time on my layover in Las Vegas that I'm looking forward to. I will see you all next week at the same time here. And of course, if you need me for anything, if I can support in any way between now and the next call, reach out to me however you can. Thank you so much, everybody. Make it a wonderful day and make it a wonderful week. I'm going to say goodbye for now.